her part. First thing we're going to talk about is red flags. 21 of them. I'm not going to get into detail because I've covered the red flags many, many times before. You can go back. I think I did a video on it in the last 6 weeks on this podcast channel, detailing all of them. But you should avoid women with red flags. I was watching a video that was in my feed the other day. What was it? Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom or something like that. He had this Matthew Hussey guy on. Look, I understand that he's handsome, he's well-spoken, and he's got a great accent that women love, and he mostly panders to women. But the title of the video was something along the lines of red flags. And he's talking about women that that aren't accountable. Or I think in general, he might have said, people that aren't held accountable. Men can be held accountable. Men love to be held accountable. Strong, virtuous alpha males love to be held accountable and will do the work and take ownership for stuff. But I don't think that saying like, well, a woman that's holding herself accountable means that it's a green flag, or if she doesn't hold herself accountable, that's a red flag. The vast majority of women aren't held accountable to any standard. And that's just a statement of fact. It's not disparaging. It's just a reality. Women very rarely are going to be held accountable to anything. You can try to hold them accountable. We see these podcast shows. I've even tried to do it, with women that come on ladies' night, from time to time. But a lot of these podcast shows are like, let's hold women accountable and, ensure that they understand these basic facts. And they just don't. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. If you tell a woman that, promiscuity is going to lower your dating options, your options to have a strong guy, climbing the corporate ladder, chasing a career is a bad idea. You're going to miss your opportunity to have kids. They don't care because there's always some guy out there that's whispering in her ear or in her DMs or somewhere, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you can't do anything wrong. It's everywhere. So, the notion of some of these red flags that I see on YouTube, horrible fucking advice, missing the main points, understand the 21 red flags, spot the 21 red flags, and vet for mother stock with the 21 red flags. Avoid women that exhibit a lot of red flags that I talk about in that chapter in my book. You don't have to buy the book. Again, you can get it for free below. Just opt into my email list and you can download it immediately. It's a PDF. Okay? So that's the first thing. Look for red flags, vet for them. If there's red flags on that list that can be worked on, that she's working on, and it's obvious to you that she's working on them, good. Okay? Maybe she's worth entertaining as mother stock. You shouldn't stop spinning plates at that time. If she's indicated that she's chosen you, she's got a strong interest in you, she's got a genuine burning desire, but you point something out like, look, I can't take a woman seriously that has a shopping addiction. You're spending a lot of time buying lamps, returning them, nightstands, ottomans, decorating your house, hanging up curtains, taking them down. You put up one chandelier you don't like. If you have an addiction to shopping, buying shit, and returning it, that's not for me. That might be for some other guy. That's not a brutal red flag. Like, you can't undo promiscuity. If she slept with 100 guys, you can't ever undo that. That's a huge red flag that'll never change. What you can do is you can draw a line in the sand and say, look, I don't take women seriously that have a shopping addiction, or I don't take women seriously that sit around for hours upon hours on social media or watching shows like Bachelor or some shit like that, right? Like mindless garbage. So those are lines in the sand that you can draw where you can delineate good from the bad. You separate the wheat from the chaff. I'm not going to spend any more time on the red flags because I've covered it so many times. I think you guys should go back and watch that video that I did in the last 6 or 7 weeks. Let's talk about her family. If you're going to have kids with a woman, her family is going to matter. Do you get along with them? Are they aligned with you? Do you have similar opinions and views in all realms? Self-care, in politics, in lifestyle choices, in religion, if that's a thing for you. Do you have alignment with her family? Because it's not just you and her. It's you, her, and her entire network, right? Some guys sign up for some weird stuff where they'll get involved with a chick from a culture where it's like, I don't know, Eastern Europe, Russian, Philippines, or something like that. And all of a sudden, you're not just with this girl, but you're with her entire family. And in some cases, you're required to provide not just for her and your kids, but for her entire family. So understand what you're getting into. A good 2-year vetting period is still always advisable. Always 2 years. It's not a a huge amount of time. For a 39-year-old that's on a dating app that's all, oh, my eggs are drying up, I need to get married now, she's not going to wait for that. And really, why would you want to rush through something if you don't even know who the hell she is? But if you're dealing with a chick that's like 24, 25, and you want to vet her for a few years for mother stock, she should have no issues waiting 2 to 3 years for you to see what she's made of. You're not going to tell her, I want to see what you're made of, but you're going to watch what she's all about. Barely know you, want to meet your family, want to learn more about you, sort of thing. You want to watch how they behave when chaos is applied to life or the relationship. Are they resilient to it? Do they break down and throw hissy fits? Again, a lot of this stuff I talk about in the red flags. What's her family like? Do you get along with her family? Do you get along with her brothers? Do you get along with her sisters? Do you get along with her dad? Does she have a good relationship with her dad? Is her mom kind, right? Or do you sit there and you watch the family bicker back and forth? I remember I was dating this girl, I think I was 30 at the time, or maybe late 20s or something like that. And her parents had just moved back from somewhere in Asia. They were teaching her something. And they bought this new kind of like a retirement bungalow. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and this was one of the first times that I met her mom. I'm watching her mom browbeat the shit out of her dad in front of me. She wasn't an attractive lady. That's another thing to look at too. If you want to know what your kid's mother's going to look like later on down the road, by the way, take a look at her mom, because she's bound to look like some version of that. And she's browbeating the crap out of her dad, treating him like a utility, like an accessory, like a handyman to all of her. It was like, she wanted to say jump and she was expecting him to say how high, right? Watch the family. She will behave like a version of her parents. That is the model that women will use when they're going to operate in their own life, right? Really, really important, guys. I can't emphasize this enough. Spend some time with their family, see what they're made of, see what their alignment's like, what their political views are like, religious opinions are like, what their monetary policies are like with money. All of that stuff's really, really important. If you can sit down with her old man and have a beer, a drink, whatever the hell, for several hours and just shoot the shit and agree on a lot of stuff, pretty good. Same thing if she's got brothers and sisters, pretty good. Another really important thing that you might want to contemplate as well, birth order. So let's talk about birth order. Birth order is really important. A lot of people overlook the significance of birth order when it comes to long-term pair bonding, especially for mother of kids. It's really important for mother of kids because you want a chick that's glued to you. You don't want a woman that's going to exercise the untying of the knot, leveraging of hostile family law to destroy you, alienating you from your kids. This is the costly shit that is problematic for men. This is the problem that men face. This is why we're doing this cast today, because men face the very real reality. You can hear the severity of the problem here. The significance of all of this, because family law encourages women to untie the knot and benefit from it financially by being the custodial caregiver to the kids. She has the kids, she gets more of the money, she gets more money monthly. There's many Western countries where women actually get more than half of what the matrimonial wealth happens to be. So birth order is significant because firstborns and lastborns statistically always do better, right? So I'm a firstborn. I generally, if I'm going to date on a long-term basis or invite a chick in my life on a long-term basis, it's going to be on the notion that I'm a firstborn and she's a lastborn. Like firstborns don't work. I tried it a few times. I've dated a lot of professional power women that have climbed the corporate ladder. I've mentioned before, my ex-wife was a lawyer. She was also a firstborn. That obviously didn't work out. But again, I've dated a lot of these, like the vast majority of pilots, CEOs, entrepreneurs, high ticket sales people, professionals, doctors, lawyers. The vast majority of people that get into these fields are all firstborns. Okay, it's great for creating wealth. It's great for accomplishing things. But for long-term relationships and for mother stock, you want to match the best way that you possibly can. Firstborns do best with lastborns. Middle children can get along with just about everyone. So that's the benefit if you're a middle child. Only children, they can be a bit of a problem. If they're an only child, they can throw a little bit of a hissy fit. It's always about them. They were put up on a pedestal sort of growing up because they were the only kid. So you can have some difficulties with only children. Not that you can't have a relationship or have children with a woman like that, but just understand that what what you're getting into. What was the other ratio? Oh, and lastborns that have more than 5 years between them and the next oldest siblings take on the personality traits of a firstborn. So I could be firstborn. I could meet a girl. She says, she's a lastborn. Oh, okay, cool. So what's the age difference between you and the next oldest sibling? 12 years. She's basically now a firstborn, right? She's got the personality traits. You can read a book on the subject. It's called, I think it's called the Birth Order book. The author's name is Dr. Kevin Lehman. Really interesting read, fascinating. So go check that out. Birth order does matter for that. We talked about alignment. Specifically if her family's aligned, she should also be aligned in the same areas as well too. That should be obvious. I shouldn't have to explain that. She should be aligned with just about everything. The vast majority of shit that you ever talk about. Politics, how you're going to raise kids. Are you going to homeschool them? You're going to put them in private school? You're going to put them in the public school system? What kind of extracurriculars are the kid's going to do? She has to be aligned with where you're going to live, whether it's urban, rural, country, if you got to move anywhere. She has to be fully aligned with where things are going. And it's my estimation that it shouldn't be, a sit down, deep negotiation. You're the man, lead. You're the one that wants to have the kids. You should be vetting for mother stock that is going to follow the path that you've chosen. Men are responsible to plot a course and find a way to get from A to B. Women don't want to plot the course. They don't want to adjust the sails and do all that sort of shit. They just want to get on the boat and fucking suntan and take Instagram photos, right? Like, for guys, it's your job to plot the course and then take her to the destination. I think that these people that often say things like, "Oh, you got to be an equal partnership and you got to agree on these things and negotiate all this sort of stuff." I remember I did a video on Jordan Peterson's breakdown of marriage. He had a 3-part series on Daily Wire. It's on this channel, by the way. If you haven't watched that video, go back in the catalog and find it. The biggest flaws that I saw with his encouraging guys to just man up and get married, there was no vetting. There was nothing. Like he would basically say, well, you want to sit down and negotiate everything, right down to where the scissors go in the utility drawer. Like, I'm going to sit here and argue about where the scissors go in the utility drawer. This is the advice that you're going to get from a lot of the tradcons, right? Take it for what it's worth. If you want that, go for that. I'm telling you, from a statement of fact, from my experience and from the guys that I've coached, bad way to go about it. Go watch that video because I broke it down in extreme detail. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.